Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns and Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Commune. Now, if you're a watcher of this channel, you know I am not personally a fan of these kind of spells. We talked about this with Contact Other Plane. It this is like metagaming for me. This is just, hey, DM, can you give us a clue? They've got the language there in the spell description. It says, oh, you're talking to a deity or divine proxy, whatever that is. But yeah, the divine proxy is your dungeon master, and I don't like these.
Divine proxy bothers me more than it should, just because there had to be a better way to say that. There had to have been a better choice than
sounds
divine proxy.
Nice and mysterious to me.
But like, what in what actual references in any of the lore or any of the gameplay stuff are there divine just say angels if you mean angels. Just say I don't know, creature of the same type. There had to be a better way to do that than, or just say deity. Just say deity. Like if you're supposed to be talking to gods, just talk to gods.
He doesn't have to be busy.
He doesn't. It's extra words bother me. That's definitely nitpicking, though. What isn't nitpicking is the rest of your complaints, which are entirely valid. And a lot of people I share them most of the time. I think that commune with nature, divination, contact other plane, all these kinds of spells, they feel like either ways that the players have to say, DMs, we think you screwed up, what's the answer that we're looking for? Or they're like, hey, DM, we don't want to go through the problem or the actual problems and investigations and adventuring around figuring out this stuff. Just tell us.
This adventure sucks.
Yeah, tell us the end and we'll go do something else. That is something I don't like about these kinds of spells. Commune is definitely the least offensive of them. It's also a 5th level, so this is a little bit higher, but it's a ritual, so that doesn't matter at all. It just means you get it later. So you get it at 9th level if you want it, and you can just cast it for free for all of time because it doesn't have a material gold cost.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah, it means that this is something that, like, hypothetically, if you're the wizard or cleric and you want this, you just cast this at least once every long rest. There's no reason not to. Hypothetically, you should be casting it until the cumulative 25% fail chance stops working, which means you're just communing a series of questions, however many you can get from casting this however many times each long rest. That's stupid, in my opinion. I think that the usage of that's kind of using it to its best, isn't fun or interesting. I like to run these kinds of spells when my players using them. They're like much more direct contact, chatting with people. I think it's more fun to give. It's a way to chat with specific NPCs of absurd power, and then you can get some like their influence and what they want and their deal, as opposed to just saying unclear or yes, no, or this is the way things are, wheel woe kind of deal, right? There's no personality to, is it going to rain today? Yes.
Yeah.
It's just not all that interesting in this form. That's why I amend them heavily.
Or, I mean, if there was just one of these, it would be something, but there's so many.
Yeah. And most of them feel very samey. Again, Commune with nature is fairly distinct in that you like get specific information about your environment that kind of kills the rangers any hope of being an explorer class anyway. So you just go, I commune with nature and find out all information. And the guy goes, but I could mix survival. Shh. I cast Commune with nature.
Yeah, and that it sucks because of that, but it doesn't kill your DM's entire game.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, and like Commune and the divination spells like this don't always do it. Comparing this Contact Other Plane is a whole other level of garbage that, because it can actively kill you, you should never cast Contact Other Plane. That being said, I think Commune is probably too far in the backswing of this is just something you can do for free with no real consequences or downsides or interesting information about it. It also, like, it really doesn't help that divine beings, like it has in its text, divine beings aren't omniscient, which means oftentimes you're just gonna pester your DM and be like, wait, everybody, we have to stop for 5 minutes because I have to commune, and then I have to do it again and again and again. And I'm probably just gonna hear unclear 12 times because we've gone through this a bunch of times, right? Which can be annoying. And there's like how the spell is built to perform, which is, I mean, it'll probably stop happening after the 12th unclear, or the 12th time your DM says unclear, and the cleric will go, okay, guess this god doesn't know shit. Guess we're never casting this again. But even in those instances, like having to go through the rigmarole of, oh, I cast Commune, I asked this specific question, I asked this specific question. Well, they would know about this. I'm gonna ask this specific question. It's supposed to be specifically targeted to like ask the god questions about their domain, ask them about their things. But then you get into the weird questions of, well, does the god of the sea in this setting understand every little thing about every part of the ocean? Are we talking about like omniscient Poseidon kind of controls the seas, knows every single seahorse by name kind of deal? Or is it just like a, generally speaking, this entity somehow is related to the creation of the stuff that is water and has no other bearing to it and just lives on their high horse, Mount Olympus out in the middle of nowhere, ruling from a distance? Like, then you have to flesh all that out on the fly a lot of the time, unless you have like a really devoted pantheon that's very clear guides for these things, and you get into these weird circumstances with the DM, you can feel like it's being a dick because he just keeps telling you unclear, because in their mind, the gods have no idea what's happening. Like, the god of light isn't aware of everything that happens under the sun, and the players go, well, what the hell's the point of a god of light if he doesn't understand everything that's happening under the sun? It's frustrating. It's a lore building question that happens fairly late and pushes a bunch of burden onto the DM to figure all that out, and then can be frustrating whenever it starts interfering with the things that you complain about, Bob, with it just being like, well, if I make the deity omniscient, if I make them know everything the players want to know, how can I really weaponize this or make this interesting without it just solving a bunch of problems? And there are ways with clever answers and clever questions, you can get to this kind of chess mathy back and forth kind of stuff. That's not going to be most people. I think most of the time the spell is just going to be frustrating.
I think a special type of dungeon master could make this work well by giving like half answers or whatever. But not something I'm interested in.
Yeah,
I don't want to put that kind of burden on anyone.
Not only that, the spell like works against the DM who wants to do that, right? Because it locks them into 3 answers: yes, no, unclear. And it kind of forces the DM to amend things to make the interesting sort of all signs point to yes kind of answers even are like a stretch. Getting the kind of cryptic puzzly answers that could lead to plot hooks is what I want this spell to be doing. But you have to ask the DM to change it for it to do that. And that's stupid. The spell shouldn't have to change for it to function. And this spell definitely isn't one of those where it really needs to change for it to function.
I kind of front loaded this with my thoughts on the spell, but do you have anything else to say?
This is out of close with, this is a spell that there will be tables that do get enjoyment out of it. There'll be tables that are liberal with their spell casting, that aren't playing everything rules as written, that are happy to shake things up, where the players don't necessarily expect spells to work exactly as they're written. There'll be times where you'll have 1 or 2 specific problems that are about a specific deity that you'll cast Commune for. And the point of the spell will be a way to get you the information that you otherwise couldn't, that the DM's going to fall back on. That's going to be like 5% of people that want to cast the spell. For the bulk of everyone else, it's going to be some varying level of unusable to frustrating to game warping and ruining answers to completely and utterly useless. There's no reason to ever cast it. And because of that huge volatility, I can't recommend anyone prepare it unless you know well ahead of time that you're at the table where it's going to be the fun, cryptic answers, the interesting means of gathering information that's intended to be given to you this way.
Sam score?
2 out of 5. It's
I'm
a ritual.
1. I hate these.
I know you do. There will be some people that get good use out of it. I don't know. It's just not going to.
All right, everyone. That was Commune. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.